So when you're in a stressed state, when you're playing, for example, and you might not be breathing well or using your diaphragm muscle very well, this muscle here that you can see, your heart is taking most of the load, which is pretty common with people that haven't had this type of education about how to learn to breathe effectively under stress. Your heartbeat increases in an attempt to get more oxygen to your brain to help you out. And there's some nerves that you can see on the screen that are transmitting that information up to your brain around really how you're doing. So if we're breathing erratically and not supporting the way our heart beats, those signals going up the nerves are really saying, let's get the hell out of here. But if we can breathe with a bit more rhythm and depth down low using this muscle, we are supporting the way in which the heart beats. Now it does that very cleverly by being attached to what's called the pericardium, as you can see here, the bag in which the heart sits. And as the diaphragm contracts and moves down, it pulls down on the heart area, drawing blood into that area. When it relaxes and pushes back up, it helps push blood out of the area, and therefore assisting the way in which the heart beats. It becomes like the great assistant manager the heart can have. It's like a second pump. So now you've got two pumps, not one. But let me show you, let me demonstrate how your breathing affects your heartbeat live on this screen so you can get an idea of the way in which breathing can really assist in the way the heart is beating, especially around stress. So what I'm going to do is hook someone up to a monitor that allows us to see that live on this screen to give you an example of exactly how breathing affects the way in which the heart beats. So what we're using here is a software program called the M-Wave Pro. And as we can see, Devo, my partner, she's alive. Here's her heartbeat. It's beating well. And up the side here we have beats per minute. And we can see that black line as it moves out. That's her heart rate accelerating. Now, when she breathes in, her heart rate will accelerate to try and pump oxygen readily around her body. And when she breathes out, it will decelerate to calm down and conserve energy. And you'll recognize at the moment that there is a good variable amount of space, if you like, between the low point and the high point in which the heart rate is beating to and from. Now, the opposite to that, what would be a very, very stressed heart, is obviously that gap, the difference between the low point and the high point would become less. And eventually, if it went flat, well, lights out, we're done. We don't want that. So the way she's breathing at the moment, and she's supporting the way in which her heart is beating. You'll find that the way that her breath is moving in and out of her lungs, the diaphragm is moving effectively, and that's supporting the way the heart beats, helping draw blood to and from the heart. And that's what you're seeing on the screen at the moment, is a nice beating heartbeat. Now, what about when she gets stressed though? What about when her breathing changes, becomes more shallow, and she starts to overthink, as an example? And when she does that, what we'll find is, oh, there we go, we've got a heart rate that suddenly spiked because of thinking too much about something, getting a little bit stressed, if you like. Now, if I get her to do a very simple little drill live right now, what we'll see is her heart will start to try and compensate for the oxygen required for her to think effectively and respond to what I'm asking her to do. So what I'm going to get her to do is say out loud part of the alphabet, but putting a letter to a number. So as an example, A equals 1, B equals 2. And she's going to see if she can go for a little bit and see what happens when she does that. Her breathing will change, her thinking will become higher, and she'll require more oxygen, but she'll be breathing not as good as she should because she'll be talking, which really affects the way that we breathe. So, Devo, G is 7. Can you continue from there, please?
H is 8. I is 9. J is 10. K is 11.
And as we can see, with her talking and her breathing has changed, her heartbeat has changed too.
L is 12.
It's becoming a little bit more erratic. There's less
M is 13.
variance in the way in which it beats.
N is 14.
Now I'm going to pull her out of that. I want her to now calm down. I want her to follow the pacer on the side, which is 5 seconds to breathe in and 5 seconds to breathe out. That is a rhythm, a breathing rhythm, if you like, breathing in low first, using that diaphragm. That speed in which we breathe in and out in a rested state is really optimal for helping the heart beat. and helping, assisting blood flow to and from the heart, and therefore sending messages up to the brain that are way more calmer and being able to calm down from stress. And as she's following that, we can now start to see that her heart is beating way more consistently. There's a smoother variance, if you like. The lines going up and down are now nice and smooth. The gap between each beat is becoming more consistent compared to where she was stressed. And that is equating to now signals being literally sent up to her brain that are calming, helping her calm down and therefore recover from that little bout of stress that she just went through. And the whole idea is that on the field we can utilize this same process where when a player gets very stressed for whatever reason, they then have the ability to use their breathing to help their heartbeat and therefore transfer messages up to the brain that are way more calming, and they can think more effectively. And then the next set, as it happens, they're more in the game, they're more present, more calmer for what's about to take place.